All right, so I've seen Talk to Me twice now, a movie that has been highly anticipated, at least for me, for 4 months on end now. Let me just say the hype surrounding this film, definitely legit, definitely valid. This is arguably the best horror movie of 2023. Talk to Me is an Australian horror film produced by A24, directed by Danny and Michael Philippou. This stars Sophie Wilde, Miranda Otto, and Zoe Terakis. Now, I will start this off by saying this film, admittedly, is not as scary as people are making it out to be, but it is genuinely disturbing and it is absolutely skin crawling. I don't want to say too much about the plot because this is, again, one of those films that I believe you should go into blindfolded. I think the trailer does a very good job at giving you enough to reel you in, but also not explain too much, which is the same approach you should have when going into this movie. I do love how original this film is, though. We've seen throughout the years a lot of demonic and possession films that tend to follow the same rinse and repeat formula, and nowadays it's pretty dried out in Hollywood. Just the idea of a group of curious high school teenagers wanting to possess themselves for fun and essentially getting high off of the thrill of it. Great fucking concept. Something original, something we've never seen before, and just well executed. These two directors did a fantastic job on this film. This was their first feature film, and with that in mind, this was just phenomenal. There was some really great shots, excellent use of camera work, very haunting and disturbing, chilling imagery that really sticks with you throughout the film. I thought the score, sound design was really, really well done. Um, A24 films always seem to do a really good job at using that sound design to create a sense of dread or unease, just not knowing what's coming. And the score and the sound alone is just enough to fucking make your skin crawl. All these actors did a phenomenal job. Sophie Wilde as the lead was absolutely incredible. Um, this is an Australian film, so obviously these are new actors, new faces, and I love a movie like that, especially when the actors take their roles seriously and you see it on film. I thought the supporting cast was great, and honestly, this was a really, really solid depiction of what it's like to be in high school. I think a lot of times movies get it wrong, but they definitely hit the nail on the head, I think, with this one. And that, I guess you could really give props, obviously, not only to the directors and the writing, but the actors and the performances they give. Like I said, I wouldn't necessarily say this movie is scary, but it's definitely disturbing. It's definitely chilling and it's haunting. And it's, like I said in the beginning, it is absolutely skin crawling. There are some moments that are jaw dropping and that will stay with you throughout the whole film. And even after leaving the theater, those moments in this movie will stick with you. Shout out to the special effects team on this one because the use of the practical effects was an absolute chef's fucking kiss. Practical effects aren't used enough nowadays. We get too much of that CGI bullshit. And like I said, with that haunting imagery that we see throughout this movie, a lot of it has to do with those practical effects and the injuries that you're seeing these victims or these characters are plagued with. This movie is a perfect example that practical effects are not dead. We need more of them, please. And man, that ending absolutely blew me away. Let me just say how pleasantly satisfied I was at the end of this movie. There has been a reoccurring theme, and I've talked about it in a couple of my other videos, but there's been a reoccurring theme with some of the better horror films in recent years where the first two acts of those movies are phenomenal and then they tend to drop the ball. With Talk to Me, They hit the nail in every act of this movie, in my opinion. I love how this is a movie where you cannot predict where the end is going. Honestly, you can't even predict the direction of the whole film. So by the time you get to the end, when you think something's about to happen, the last 10 minutes of that movie, when you think you got that shit figured out, it does a complete fucking 180. But that bitch wraps up so fucking smoothly, so well. I'm gonna keep this shit spoiler free, so I'm gonna not say too much. But from a viewer standpoint, that's a fucking finish I'm looking for. And it's a finish to a movie where it could potentially set up more in the future, or you could leave it at that and still appreciate it for what the fuck it is, because my God, was that amazing. Nonetheless, though, guys, I thoroughly enjoyed Talk to Me. It was everything I hoped for and more. A24 never disappoints. I hope to see more from these two directors. I hope to see more from this whole cast. I mean, like I said, they were all phenomenal. This was, again, one of my favorite films, if not my favorite horror film from 2023. Definitely go see this in theaters. Definitely check this out ASAP. My final rating, I'm going to give this a 9.3 out of 10.